Bow, this Bobster here once again, and today I'll be going over the Poison Holy Relic build. I'll get into the details in a moment, but as you can see, the playstyle feels just like, yup, the Cast on Critical Strike Barbarian Minion Warcry build. Holy Relic is a sweet minion that basically follows you around, and if you were to hit an enemy, it triggers a Nova spell. So even though I don't do any damage myself, I didn't want to spend the time or monies getting accuracy on my gear, and henceforth I took the Resolute Technique Keystone on my passive tree. Because I'm using Divergent Holy Relic gem, and thanks to my Enhanced Support gem supporting it, my Holy Relic has 63% cooldown recovery rate, which means that it will trigger more than just the default 0.3 seconds, as long as I ensure my attack rate doesn't exceed a specific amount. In this case, I spent 4.5 weeks perfectly calculating and testing the attack speed to trigger ratio, and actually paid a mathematician from Yale to confirm my numbers. If you can't be bothered to do that, then don't play this build. Just kidding. POB will let you know if you messed up. In my case, the sweet spot was about 5 attacks per second. In the previous video, I showed off cast while channeling Summon Raging Spirits, which I really enjoyed as a supplemental single target damage, but the Covenant armor was draining my HP. Maybe if I had at least like 400 life regen, I would have kept that setup, but I decided to instead go all in on Holy Relic, which was the focal point of this build anyways. Freeing up those 4 gem sockets from my chest piece allowed me to switch some gems around and become tankier, and have my utility spells be procced as soon as I twirl around with Cyclone. The armor I'm using now has an additional curse limit allowance, so that enables me to skip going for Whispers of Doom passive node on the tree. The armor piece is very flexible and doesn't even need to be a 6-link or have that additional curse affix. Just real quick, my producers are telling me to pause right here. Now, let's take a look at this picture for a moment. What do you see? Nothing? Yeah, me too. Apparently the clouds that are supposed to be here, and yep, right there, decided to vacate premises, apparently. Decided to, oh, I don't know, go on strike maybe? I guess? Anywho, in my Cyclone setup, I have Withering Touch, Desecrate, and Despair Curse. Why, you ask? That's because of my boots, believe it or not. Just kidding, not really. Because I have a decent physical mitigation already with 5 endurance charges, 30k armor, almost max block with Glancing Blows and Rumi's Flask, I decided to go for Plaguebringer, Necromancer, Ascendancy node for that sweet AoE and damage, as opposed to Bone Barrier or Mistress of Sacrifice, which I'll talk about in a second. So the TLDR is, I Cyclone around and trigger Desecrate, my boots Nam on the corpses, which then give me and my minion benefits. The Desecrate gem is generally not necessary unless you're planning to boss, which I did. And again, the setup is very flexible. Maybe you want more AoE and explosion coverage, get yourself Spell Cascade for your curse setup. Want life gain on hit? Go for it. Want a 3rd curse? Yes, you can. The other reason why I like the Bubonic Trail boots is because they give me reservation efficiency, movement speed, elemental ailment duration reduction, and have 2 Abyssal Jewel sockets. Nice! I wish I had the money to throw down on the Ammonos Gaze Abyssal Jewel to give me a lot more damage, but the Arcane Surge unique Abyssal Jewel that I'm using isn't totally wasted because I'm no longer using Eldritch Battery and I actually rely on mana. Now, the reason why I didn't go for Mistress of Sacrifice is because with just a small investment, I have a good amount of block and spell block, so I don't need to use Bone Offering. With Flesh Offering, the movement speed would have been nice, but it messes up my attack speed rate, which in turn would destroy my Relic trigger rate, so I cannot use it. And we are poison-based build after all, so Spirit Offering, which provides crit, is pointless. As you can tell by now, I do not have Animated Guardian. I don't have Spectres, or really any other minions besides a sad Chaos Golem, which I have to resummon every 5 seconds. I tried using other minions earlier on, but they kept on dying, so to me they weren't really worth it. That being said, I'm not a minion expert, and I didn't really invest in any minion defensive nodes, so it makes sense that they would die at the sight of moldy bread. The nice thing about Holy Diver I mean, Holy Relic is that it's untargetable by enemies. It can still die, but it's very rare. I also wanted to mention that the reason why I took Spiritual Aid on my tree, even though I don't do any damage myself, is because I wanted the explosions from Asenath's Gentle Gloves to be much juicier. Because I have roughly 450% increased minion damage, that increase gets translated into the life explosion. So instead of being like 3% of monster's life explosion, it's like 17%, if my maths is good. Probably not. The staff I'm using is fairly good, but nothing super special. It only took about a dozen or so Essences of Fear to hit that +1 to socketed gems. So buy yourself a 6-link War Staff, War Staff, and go ham on it. In the description below, I included my actual gear POB, but I have also included one with quite a higher budget version, which has Empower level 4, +1 to Intelligence Tattoo, Amenau's Gaze, Abyssal Jewel, level 21 Holy Relic, and few other things. And it the numbers go from something like 3 million DPS to about 5, so hey, not bad if you invest the mons. The reason why I have no anointment on my amulet is because I ran out of money to get anything worthwhile. But the world is your oyster, my friend. You need life, get some. You need chaos res? Get it. You want more armor? We got that too. Max res, you ask? Max res, you ask? It shall be so. Something to consider is maybe instead of purities like I'm running, run Grace. That will leave you with options like Malevolence or Skitterbots for more damage. The tattoos you might want to try: movement speed, life, armor, chaos res, or even minion life if you so choose. The last thing I wanted to mention was the new armor, Utula's Hunger. If it wasn't for Asenath's Chant Gloves, I would be using this armor myself, because all I would do is recraft my 2 rings to have no life, and bam! Wow! I would literally gain 1500 life. Yeah, that's crazy. But the explosions are just too good. I'll have to come up with another build to utilize this crazy cool armor. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time with another beautiful build. Why, you ask? That's because of my boots. Believe it or not, that's because of my balut. I decided to go for Plaguebringer, Necromancy. I decided to go for Plaguebringer, Necromancy.